Kit de Waal, how would you sum up your story in this book?
Oh, right. It's the story of an unpredictable child caught between three worlds, Ireland, the West Indies and England, and the adventures she has along the way. So my father's from St. Kitts, who's immigrant to Birmingham, and my mother's from Wexford, from Camp Isle. And my father was sort of hands-off dad. So we were more Irish children than anything else, although, of course, we didn't look like Irish children. We looked very different. And it was a bizarre childhood because my mother, she was an Irish Catholic, and then she became a Jehovah's Witness. She probably was bipolar looking back, although we had no idea. We just thought she was a bit strange. So it was a very unpredictable childhood of, I wouldn't go so far as to say poverty, but we were very poor. And we had a great time, actually, even though it was very difficult. I think the stories that I tell in my book are funny. You know, I want people to laugh at my mother's antics. And, you know, there's a lot of love between us. You know, it kept us going.
What's this about you thinking that the world was going to end when you were a kid?
Jehovah's Witnesses believed at the time that the world was going to end in 1975. So we were told from the time that she became a Jehovah's Witness, I think I was 6, that you either towed the line, did as you were told, went out on the door, knocking doors, made converts, or you died in 1975. So I was bad and I was going to die. And we all thought we were going to die. We just grew up thinking, there's no way God's going to save me when I'm 15 and really naughty.
So what was it really like growing up in Birmingham in the 60s, being Irish, but also being mixed race?
So one example is in 1974, November 1974, there were the Birmingham pub bombings, bombed by the IRA. And I remember going to school the day after the pub bombings, and everybody, the teachers included, were talking about the dirty Irish. It was so different. People hated the Irish. So when my mother went to, found herself in Birmingham looking for somewhere to live with my dad, she would come across the sign, which has been often spoke about, no blacks, no dogs, no Irish. It was not good. You know, now everyone wants to be Irish. It was not good when I was growing up to be Irish. I didn't want to say I was Irish. I was already victimised for being black. Obviously, there's only 2 black children in the school. And then to add to that, being victimised for being Irish, I kept quiet about it, to my shame. You know, I wish I'd had more gumption to say that, but I didn't. I was humiliated by it.
So what then made you write this book after all these years? I know you have novels as well.
I think I'm quite boring. So, you know, after I stopped taking drugs in my 20s, I just became boring. I like gardening, I like knitting, I like cooking. I go to Tesco's, I look after my kids, like everybody else. But once I understood it was a memoir about my childhood, I thought that is interesting. So it was really just being approached by a publisher to write it, and me thinking it would be easier than it was. It wasn't easy, but it was also very enjoyable. It was very nice to have those conversations with my brothers and sisters about what happened.
It seems to have, has it shaped you as an author and as a writer?
Yes, definitely. I think what it did for me, mostly my childhood, is it gave me an affinity with the outsider, with anyone who's a bit odd. You know, I've got very odd parents. Anyone a bit different, anyone that's having a hard time. I'm sort of drawn to damaged people, broken people, people that are on the fringes of what people consider normal society. I've always been fascinated by odd things and odd people. And I think that's mostly a good thing, you know.
Kit de Waal, author of Without Warning and Only Sometimes. An absolutely astounding story, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.